The film begins by showing a young man named Seiji approaching a masked girl named Akane. At that moment, Akane welcomes Seiji in front of her, who will now be her classmate. However, Akane is shocked when Seiji suddenly says that he actually hates Akane. Since that day, Akane has been unable to sleep well, often having nightmares because of Seiji's statement. Akane lives with her stepmother, younger sister, and stepfather. Although not related by blood, her stepfather is very friendly and caring towards Akane. However, Akane seems wary of getting close to her stepfather, so she always keeps her distance. Unlike other high school students, Akane always has to wear a mask when facing people other than her family. This is because Akane suffers from excessive anxiety disorder that she has experienced since elementary school. Upon arriving at school, Akane, who is the class president, is explaining to her friends that they will perform a dance at the school festival. Because of that, Akane wants to appoint one student to be the leader. However, none of her friends are willing, and they instead suggest Seiji, who they think is suitable to be the dance leader. According to them, if Seiji becomes the leader, their class will be more lively. But Seiji suddenly appears and refuses to be the leader. It turns out, Seiji is a messy behavior. His clothes are full of paint because he has a hobby of painting. Nevertheless, Seiji is highly respected by all students at school and very popular among the girls because of his face. As their friend's wishes, Akane tries to persuade Seiji to become the leader. However, Seiji refuses and suggests that Akane find someone else. It turns out, Seiji does not want the activity to interfere with his painting time. After that, their friends appoint Akane as the dance leader. Hearing this, Akane can only accept, even though she is already burdened with her duties as class president. During break time, Akane eats alone on the stairs so she can take off her mask. Suddenly, a paper plane was thrown towards Akane. It turns out the person who threw the paper plane was Seiji. On the paper plane, he wrote about Akane, who always shutting herself off, and thinking that it made her comfortable. But that comfort was only temporary. Because of that, Seiji hated Akane. Hearing those words, Akane fell silent in sadness because she was quite distressed with her life. After school, Akane still had to stop by the store, then pick up her younger sister and bathe her early, as instructed by her mom. Everything was done by Akane herself, from cleaning the house to taking care of all her sister's needs, while her mother was busy with office work and her stepfather took care of the restaurant. After finishing all her tasks, Akane could only continue studying or doing homework, even though she was already too tired to think. However, Akane had to fight sleepiness because there were still many tasks that needed to be done immediately. Akane even stabbed her own nail crevices just to stay awake. In the end, Akane was truly exhausted until she fell asleep deeply on her study desk. The next day, Akane woke up late and she hurried off without having breakfast first and almost missed the bus. Additionally, Akane forgot to bring her mask. At that moment, Akane panicked while covering her face with a tissue. Shortly after, her anxiety disorder began to show symptoms, where everything Akane saw around her felt like it was spinning. She also felt shortness of breath and nausea. Although Akane tried to walk to school, she couldn't see anything anymore. After that, Akane sat down weakly, with her breath becoming more and more labored. At the same time, Seiji saw Akane and realized something was wrong with her. Worried after seeing her situation, he tried to help her by giving her a plastic bag so Akane could vomit. After that, Seiji led her to rest while he went to buy a mask as requested by Akane. In the end, Seiji found out that Akane couldn't actually take off her mask due to mental health issues. Upon arriving at school, Akane intended to invite her classmates to practice dancing for the festival. But all of her classmates made excuses, claiming to be busy with activities in their respective clubs, and they left Akane alone. At that moment, Akane could only accept this without expressing her anxiety. Frustrated, Akane returned to the classroom and resumed stabbing her finger crevices. However, her actions were caught by Seiji. After finding out the reason, Seiji forcibly took Akane to the broadcasting room. Upon arriving there, Seiji announced to all their classmates to gather in the auditorium immediately, and he would not accept any excuses. At that moment, Akane didn't expect that Seiji's words would be so effective, as he could gather their classmates. Akane then realized that Seiji was highly respected, especially since he willingly participated in this training despite his previous refusal. As time passed, until the last day of training, they were all able to work together smoothly to complete the rehearsals before the festival. When Akane left the auditorium, her attention was drawn to an open warehouse. Upon entering, she found many paintings on the walls, all showing the sky. However, there was one painting that Akane found most beautiful, so much so that it made her cry, feeling deeply touched. Unexpectedly, the painting was Seiji's work, so Akane mentioned that the world Seiji showed in the painting seemed sad but very beautiful. However, this combination touched Akane's feelings. Upon hearing this, Seiji took Akane to the school rooftop through a shortcut that Akane had never imagined before. Until now, the door to the school rooftop had always been closed, and it turned out that Seiji usually poured all his imagination into painting there. At that moment, Seiji said that the place was a beautiful world that only he could see, as if it all belonged to him. Finally, Akane could understand why Seiji could paint so beautifully. Seiji then explained his dream, which was to see various skies in the world from different perspectives. Seiji also often observed various expressions of people, but he didn't know what expression Akane was showing, whether Akane was smiling or not. And the reason Seiji hated Akane was because he thought her way of life was full of lies. After that, Seiji emphasized that Akane should take responsibility and protect her own feelings without needing to follow other people's words. However, Akane didn't know how to overcome her excessive anxiety, so she felt she had to keep smiling, otherwise she wouldn't be able to socialize and make friends. It turns out, Akane had been struggling to live as she was, but after hearing Seiji calling her life a lie, Akane thought that Seiji just wanted to belittle her. With heavy heart, Akane took off her mask and expressed her hatred towards Seiji, whom she considered insensitive. Seeing Akane's response, Seiji laughed and confirmed that it was what he wanted, for Akane to be able to express all the feelings she had been holding back. After that, Akane began to talk about how she sometimes felt annoyed with her classmates, who often complained and then shifted the responsibility to her. Akane also frustrated with her mother, who often told her to do everything at home, even though she also had something she wanted to do for herself. After letting it all out, Akane felt regretful. She emphasized that she didn't actually hate her friends or family, because this problem lay within herself, who always felt shy and unable to express her true feelings. After that, Akane now could feel a little relieved. Seiji then suggested that from now on, Akane should get used to expressing her opinions and feelings, and then do what she wanted. Seiji also reminds her that time is not eternal, and Akane would regret it if she continued to waste her life. Since that day, every time school ended, Akane often looked for Seiji, who was usually alone on the rooftop, enjoying the beauty of the sky while painting. Slowly, Akane began to feel calm, so she could take off her mask without experiencing breathlessness or nausea. However, this could only be done in front of Seiji. Akane was also curious why Seiji always painted the sky, and Seiji answered that everything he painted was something he considered beautiful, and the second most beautiful thing in Seiji's life was the sky. However, Seiji refused to tell Akane what the first most beautiful thing was for him. Akane also admitted that she couldn't be open to anyone else except Seiji, so she put her mask back on and intended to go home to pick up her younger sister. But before Akane left, Seiji suddenly approached her until their faces were very close. At that moment, Seiji began to swing a small brush and painted something on the mask worn by Akane. Unexpectedly, Seiji painted a smiling sun, so that Akane could always remember that she had to face her life with a smile. Several days later, rumors about the closeness between Seiji and Akane started spreading in school. There were some girls from other classes who thought Akane wasn't suitable to be with Seiji. They believed that Akane always acted like a good student, but in reality, she had a dark heart because they always saw Akane wearing a mask all the time. Hearing this, Akane felt hurt and her shortness of breath recurred. This made Sayaka, one of her friends, worried and wanted to give Akane a drink. However, Akane didn't want her mask to be removed and reflexively pushed her. Realizing Akane's deteriorating condition, Seiji took the initiative to take her out of school, with the teacher's permission that he would escort Akane to the hospital. Although the teacher was somewhat reluctant, it didn't stop Seiji from taking Akane out of the classroom. While pedaling his bike, Seiji took Akane to a location quite far away, not to the hospital. After that, they passed through fields and forests until they arrived at a sealed-off location that shouldn't be entered. Unexpectedly, the place turned out to be an abandoned amusement park that had long been closed and unused. For Seiji in this place, time seemed to stop, with no one else but them. At that moment, they began to enjoy each other's company by trying out all the rides that could bring happiness to anyone who used them. As the evening approached, they gazed at the beauty of the sunset. However, Seiji said that compared to the sunset, he preferred to see the sunrise. Hearing this, Akane hoped that one day they could see it together. Akane then explained the reason why she had become the person she was now. The scene then showing when Akane in elementary school. At that time, there was a popular girl, and in class, Akane saw the girl stealing another student's pen. So Akane immediately told everyone. However, the popular girl started crying, and Akane was the one who was ignored by her classmates. That incident caused Akane to bury her feelings. At the same time, her parents divorced. So Akane changed schools and started over again. Since that day, Akane convinced herself that she shouldn't say unnecessary things. Akane also decided to always smile and aspire to be a model student liked by everyone. And by wearing a mask, it helped Akane not to show her true expression. So Akane didn't need to worry about people's looks. But now, Akane feels happy because Seiji listens to her problems. But Akane is still curious why on the first day they met, Seiji said he really hated Akane, even though they didn't know each other at that time. Before he could answer, Akane's mother suddenly called and she hurriedly went home accompanied by Seiji, who felt responsible. Upon arriving home, Seiji apologized to Akane's parents for taking their daughter out so late. However, Akane's younger sister mistakenly thought Seiji was her Akane's boyfriend, and she was very impressed by Seiji, who looked handsome. Hearing that, Seiji didn't deny it at all and just responded with a smile. Fortunately, Akane's parents weren't angry, but her mother noticed a change in Akane's behavior when she didn't wear a mask outside with someone. The next day, Akane was approached by Sayaka, who wanted to apologize. However, Akane explained that Sayaka wasn't at fault because the mistake came from herself. Akane then explained her problem of not being able to take off her mask because it could make her felt shortness of breath and nauseous. However, Akane couldn't express this to her friends, so she apologized for the incident yesterday. Fortunately, Sayaka could understand Akane's condition. Shortly after, when Akane intended to go to the teacher's room, she accidentally overheard a conversation between her homeroom teacher and the art teacher named Okazaki about Seiji. According to Okazaki, Seiji was suitable for entering an art university abroad, so he would try to persuade Seiji. After hearing this, Akane immediately checked the survey form, which turned out not to be filled out by Seiji. Feeling curious, Akane directly asked Seiji on the school rooftop about the reason why he was still confused about his career after graduation. At that moment, Seiji reacted as if he didn't like being asked about that, and he regarded Akane as too meddling, as if she knew everything. Even though Akane only meant well, something seemed to be bothering Seiji. A few days later, when Akane was playing with her sister, Akane felt sad. Suddenly, her mother came with an album of Akane's childhood photos. Unexpectedly, her mother remembered who Seiji was, who used to be Akane's friend during elementary school. At that moment, Akane's mother realized it late because Seiji's hair color had changed and Seiji used to be called Sei. Additionally, Akane's mother had heard that Sei had been treated in the hospital due to cancer when he was still a child. The next day, Seiji turned out to be absent from school, so Akane took the initiative to ask Okazaki about what Seiji was worried about. Okazaki then informed her that Seiji had actually recovered from cancer, and the reason for his absence today was just for a routine checkup. Although he was declared healthy, no one knew if the disease could recur or not, as it was the experience of childhood cancer survivors. After that, Akane pondered alone on the school rooftop, feeling guilty for always complaining while Seiji was living a life that was apparently harder than hers. That evening, Seiji, who had just undergone a health checkup, came to school to meet Okazaki. At that moment, Seiji reported that there was nothing unusual about his body, and Okazaki gave him some brochures if Seiji wanted to consider his career. However, Okazaki reminded him that even if Seiji studied abroad, not everyone could succeed. So according to Okazaki, Seiji needed to challenge himself if he wanted to move forward. When he was about to leave, Seiji's attention was drawn to the dark classroom corridor. From the end of the corridor, Seiji could see a small light approaching. Unexpectedly, it was Akane. After the lessons were over, Akane still remained around the school, waiting for Seiji who might come. Fortunately, Akane finally met Seiji. After that, Seiji intended to tell Akane about the most beautiful thing for him. Seiji then began to tell that during elementary school, He had a weak body and was often bullied by his classmates. But among all the children, there was a girl who tried to stand up for him to protect him, even though she was also have small body. While crying, the girl said to Seiji to express everything out loud while showing courage. And since that day, Seiji had never forgotten the brave girl's smile that helped him, and to him, that was the most beautiful thing in the world. Since childhood, Seiji had been sick and had felt despair. But every time Seiji remembered the girl's smile, he regained his spirit. However, Seiji was saddened because the girl no longer smiled and might have forgotten him. After hearing the story, Akane finally remembered that Seiji was the friend who had helped her when they were in the same elementary school. Akane had told a story about herself saving a child whose pen was stolen, and that child was actually Seiji. For Seiji, Akane's figure was his hero, but he didn't expect that when they first met, Akane didn't remember at all. Additionally, Akane pretended to smile behind her mask, and Seiji deeply hated the Akane now. After that, Akane no longer hid her feelings for Seiji, because thanks to Seiji, Akane's world that had once seemed dark now changed to be more colorful. All the words Seiji had ever spoken had made Akane stronger. Additionally, Akane didn't want to be a burden, because she knew Seiji had a dream to paint various skies in the world. But before that, there was still one scenery Akane wanted to see with Seiji. Akane then invited Seiji to the school rooftop, where they usually spent time together. At that moment, Seiji was actually still afraid, because he didn't know when his illness would recur and he wouldn't be able to meet Akane again. However, Akane suggested that Seiji should not waste time now to express all the most beautiful things he had ever seen. Together, they poured all the colored paint on the rooftop floor, and there were no more hidden secrets between them. That night, the world belonged only to the two of them, to express what they felt through colorful paintings with happiness. As the dawn broke for the first time, they saw the most beautiful sky radiating its light. One day they could see a far more beautiful sight than this, and Seiji had already decided that he would go and find and paint the sky in various parts of the world to fulfill their dream together. After that, Akane finally went home and was immediately greeted by her mother, who was very worried. Akane apologized for not informing them and for making both of her parents anxious. But in that moment, it was the first time Akane called her stepfather as father, and it touched her parents deeply. Akane also never tasted her stepmother's cooking before, but now she was willing to enjoy it with her family. 5 years had passed, and now Akane had graduated from college and was working at a company. Akane was no longer wore a mask and had managed to overcome the anxiety disorder she had once suffered from. At that moment, Akane called her family to inform them that there was a sudden meeting, so she would be late coming home. However, Akane's attention was diverted by the sound of a song from somewhere, a song that was a nostalgic memory she used to listen to with Seiji. After that, Akane hurriedly searched for the source of the song and led her to the art gallery. Upon entering, Akane could only gaze in awe at a painting that was the longest one there. The painting shows a very beautiful sky, and it reminded Akane of moments from the past. Akane was curious about who the painter was, and some time later, a man entered calling Akane's name. It turns out the man was Seiji, so Akane smiled happily, and the movie came to an end. Moral lesson from the story: always remember to bring your mask, unless you want your secrets to be blown away like a paper plane in the wind. And if you find yourself feeling blue, just remember that sometimes the most beautiful things in life are hiding behind a mask.